The U.S. is piling more pressure on Iran with a new round of major sanctions to hit Tehran later on Monday. The escalation comes in response to Iran's downing of a U.S. military drone, which the Islamic Republic says violated its airspace. But Washington has expressed doubts over who's really to blame for the attack.
We expect the president to announce an additional round of sanctions in response to Iran's downing of an American unmanned vehicle. The president also had doubts as to whether or not the downing of our unmanned aircraft was actually authorized at the highest levels. We're not convinced that it was authorized at the highest levels.
The drone downing prompted a furious reaction from Washington. Preparations to strike Iran were minutes away from being put into motion before Donald Trump intervened. He later claimed he wasn't calling off the attack, just postponing it. But he also says he doesn't want to kill anybody unless it's absolutely necessary. Political opponents of the president accuse him of creating his own crisis.
Iran is feeling the pinch. The reintroduction of US sanctions has had a crippling effect on the economy. The value of the rial has plummeted, pushing inflation to over 30%. And US President Donald Trump's attempt to destroy the country's oil industry is having an effect too. The influential middle classes are among those hard hit.
The economic war is a reality, and people are under extreme pressure. They keep telling us to be strong, but we can already hear the sound of our bones breaking under this pressure.
Some Iranians are being pushed below the poverty line.
As far as I can see, people's purchasing power has been more than halved. Anyone earning between 1.5 million rials to 2 million rials a month, between 35 and 47 US dollars, who also needs to pay rent, won't be able to even afford to buy bread and potatoes. It's unimaginable.
And we're going to bring in Greg Talcott now. He joins us live from Hong Kong. And Greg, I'm not sure if you were able to hear Secretary of State's audio, but he hinted that a third summit with North Korea leader, dictator Kim Jong-un is very, very possible.
Certainly a possibility, Arthel. I'm hearing from my sources, too, whether they have done enough work to immediately have some sort of meeting in the coming days. That's a big question. But, yeah, just one of many developments that are being watched very closely here in the region. This G20 meeting in Osaka, Japan, Friday, Saturday. On the sidelines, the meeting with Chinese President Xi and President Trump. A lot at stake right now. For example, we heard from the 10 Asian countries that make up the ASEAN grouping today. They were meeting in Bangkok this weekend regarding the trade talks between China and the United States. They called on the two countries to come up with a resolution. It has now become really a full-blown trade war. President Trump, Chinese President Xi have been trading tariffs over the past 18 months or so on imports from both countries. There are talks to come up with some kind of a deal on a range of issues like high tech and subsidies. They've been going on for months. They broke down last month. More tariffs are being threatened.
A 7.2 magnitude earthquake has rattled the Northern Territory, shaking buildings and causing the evacuation of Darwin's CBD. Residents have reported cracks appearing in their homes, and experts say it may not be over yet, with aftershocks still possible.
The first signs of shakes, lights swaying across the 9 newsroom. At a suburban shopping centre, locals rush out the doors. The CBD rattling, forcing city towers to evacuate.
We've just had a bloody earthquake and I thought, oh, felt a bit of a rumble going on. I wasn't sure if it was me guts having a few too many drinks or something like that. And all of a sudden, boom, side to side we go.
Earthquakes here aren't unusual, but this caught locals off guard.
I felt tremors before, but not like this.
I'm not going to lie, I was a bit freaked out and I can still slightly shaken a little bit.
The 7.2 magnitude quake was in the Banda Sea, 700 kilometres north of Darwin, just before midday local time.
We'll begin with confirmation from the presidential office of 청와대 on U.S. president visit to Seoul.
President Trump will be in Seoul this Saturday and Sunday following the G20 summit in Japan. The top office says North Korea's nuclear issue and other Seoul-Washington bilateral issues will take center stage during the leaders' meeting.
The leaders will discuss bilateral cooperation and ways to establish lasting peace on the Korean peninsula through denuclearization.
According to government officials in Seoul, President Trump's trip might include a visit to the demilitarized zone. Few details have been released, but an official said that a trilateral summit between Trump and the leaders of the two Koreas will not be happening. The Moon-Trump summit comes after the two leaders exchanged personal letters. Trump will depart on Sunday afternoon from the U.S. military base in Ulsan. More details on Trump's itinerary will be released soon.
Kenya will soon become the third country to join a historic pilot program to immunize kids against malaria, the mosquito-borne disease that kills nearly 500,000 people a year. The program started last month in Malawi and Ghana, where kids younger than 2 were offered shots of GlaxoSmithKline's RTSS vaccine. Its success rate is just 40%, but after decades of research, it's the best solution so far.
What I saw when I was out in these rural clinics was a lot of hope and positive responses. So researchers have been looking for a malaria vaccine for over 60 years. It's a very difficult process.
In those 60 years, vaccines successfully wiped out smallpox, brought tetanus, yellow fever, whooping cough, and measles under control, and came close to eradicating polio.
Annoncer une progression jour après jour des températures. Il va faire très chaud la journée, il n'y aura pas vraiment de fraîcheur la nuit et on va avoir des températures très élevées, jamais constatées en fait vraisemblablement en juin en France.
Par rapport à l'épisode de 2003, c'est que d'une part, il s'accompagne d'un très fort taux d'humidité, ce qui veut dire que la chaleur ressentie va être bien supérieure à la température affichée par le thermomètre, et donc l'inconfort sera supérieur à l'inconfort de 2003.
It's stalemate in Sudan. The opposition has okayed an Ethiopian plan designed to kick off the country's long journey towards democracy. But on Sunday evening, the country's top military generals said they weren't on board.
Sudan is an independent state which does not accept orders from abroad or solutions put forward in advance that threaten national security. The military reiterates that there are many international initiatives from allied countries.
In other words, there are plenty of options on the table, and we won't accept Ethiopia's proposal just yet. According to opposition negotiators, Ethiopia's initiative would give civilian leaders the most seats on Sudan's top body until elections can be held in a few years' time. That isn't tenable to the generals, who are reluctant to hand over power.